Hello, everybody, and welcome to Deborah Kobylt Live. In studio today, I am so excited to have this woman. We've been trying to coordinate this for a long time. We've got Ellie Lax, the founder of Gentle Barn, and you are here to tell us all about that. You just wrote a book, My Gentle Barn, which is such a beautiful read. I was sorry when it ended. I just said, wait, is there more? It's a beautiful, beautiful book. And we also have Mario with us. And Mario is a rooster, and he lives at Gentle Barn. And a little bit about what you do. Basically, you rescue unwanted animals that have been discarded, abused, neglected. And you help heal them and their souls and their bodies. And in the process, you work with people who may have been abused and not treated properly. And they work with the animals, and in turn, the animals heal them, right?
Yeah.
What a beautiful concept. So thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Yeah. Hello, Mario. He's adorable. I mean, when I first walked in, you were here before me, and I said to myself, do I ask her, what is this animal? Because to me, a chicken, a rooster, is white. And this little guy kind of just is so soft, and he's adorable, and he's just trying to chill in with us, too. So tell me about Mario.
He's very chill. He is happy to just hang out. He's the guy you want to have a drink with and watch the game. He's just like that kind of guy. He's gentle to everybody. He loves sitting on laps and falling asleep as we pet him. He is just a really nice guy.
How old is he?
He's 10.
What's his story?
Mario was actually purchased as a little teeny tiny chick from one of those pet stores and brought home with a nice loving family. And unfortunately, their landlord found out about it and said, hey, we don't allow chickens. And they threatened to evict the family if they didn't do something. So not knowing what to do, she was a single mother. She didn't want to jeopardize their only home. They brought him to the animal shelter. Oh. And it was terrible for them because they left not knowing what would happen to them and feeling very guilty. Well, we were notified that he was there, and we brought him home to the Gentle Barn. And funnily enough, 6 months later, she heard about the Gentle Barn, started following us, and there was her chicken right in our barnyard.
Oh, that is so cute.
So not only were we able to give him a nice forever home, but we were able to give that poor family some nice comfort knowing that he ended up okay.
And a good place. That is so beautiful. You need to tell us, for people who don't know, how did you get into this? I know we're going to have to make the long story short, I suppose, because you loved animals so much as a child, and it was really your refuge, right? You would run out into the fields. Tell me a little bit about how you started to get into the world of animals.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was born obsessed with animals.
Yeah.
I think we all are, probably. But there was some pain going on in my childhood, and it was always animals that saved me. It was my sanctuary, like you said. They were my witnesses, my friends, my healers, my teachers. Anytime something bad was going on in my life, I always ran to the woods or the lakes, sat down with the animals, whether it was turtles or ducks or bunny rabbits, and they made me feel better. They made me feel wanted and lovable. They made me feel like I was going to be okay.
Wow. So when you were 11 years old, right, isn't that when you stopped eating meat?
Yes.
Because you realized what? That these animals were more than just the way we look at them, or a lot of people look at them as food. That's a whole separate issue, talking about the food industry and how we treat animals. But at a very young age, even before a lot of people stopped eating meat, you realized that there was something to the animal that we're just not talking about still, right?
Yeah, I mean, I loved animals, and I didn't really know who I was eating. It was put on my plate and told to eat it, and I ate it. And at the same time, I loved animals. So there was a disconnect just because I didn't know. And it was at 11 when I met my first chicken. She was scared at my school, and I was holding her and smoothing down her feathers and telling her that she wasn't alone. And the principal came in and said, we have to get her to the slaughterhouse. And she took her from my arms and raced out with her. And that was when I realized, oh my God, that's chicken and rice. And so I went home that day and announced to my parents I would never eat animals again. And I think that that's more common than we think. I think that, like we said, I think we're all born loving animals. And I think that if you tell the average child that they're eating animals, they're going to be appalled. They just don't know. By the time we reach adulthood, we're conditioned to eat certain things, and we kind of go in denial.
I really appreciate, for those people on social media, some of the photos that come onto my social media about the way that animals are treated, particularly in the slaughterhouses. It's horrifying the way that a cow produces milk. I guarantee most people still don't realize that it's a pregnant cow and that baby is born and immediately someone takes the baby away. Tell us about that.
Yeah, people don't understand that that's breast milk. They just think, well, look, we're raised that cows are like the special animal that has milk spewing out of them. Like
Exactly. It's like, oh, come on over here, let's milk the cow. But you don't realize that to get the milk, that mother just had a child that was taken from her. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, so it starts in childhood where in kindergarten everyone's like, what comes from a cow? Milk. And then we grow up and we don't understand that, yes, it's breast milk just like any other mammal. Dogs have milk for their puppies. I had milk for my kids, but not anymore. Every mammal produces milk for their babies. So you have to get them pregnant and you have to take that baby away and kill him to steal the milk for humans.
Why do you have to kill the baby?
Because if the baby is around drinking the milk, there's no milk for their money. So
they actually slaughter the baby.
Yes, that's what veal is made out of.
Yeah.
So the only reason there's a veal industry is because there's a dairy industry. So the dairy industry, in order to get the milk, has to make the cows pregnant, but they don't want the babies, they just want the milk. So at first they were just destroying the babies, but then realized, wait, let's make a profit out of it. So they established the veal industry, which is basically 8-week-old baby calves that were taken away from their mom, put into boxes where they can't move and the muscles remain mushy. They're slaughtered at 8 weeks old for veal, and the mom stays there for a year being milked, and the milk is stolen for people. And I think that when people realize that, they're like, oh my God, why didn't I know that before?
I still don't think enough people know. I really don't. And we need to educate little kids. We need to educate adults. Yeah. We just traveled overseas with friends of ours who are deep, mega vegans. They'd rather starve.
Nice.
And I can go that way almost 100% because I don't need meat. Yeah. Frankly, I don't even like it. So I did that, and they were describing to us, particularly my husband, what happens. I think he didn't even realize it. I think if more people are aware, and also if more people are aware that these animals have personalities and souls, and they all have different personalities. It's like a dog, right? One dog does not have the same personality as another.
Yeah. And that's why the Gentle Barn exists. That's literally what we do. We allow people to come in when we're open to the public on Sundays or for private tours or field trips. And the cows wear cute little bows in their hair, and the kids can brush them and hug them. And then we tell them their stories. And so we have calves that were rescued from the dairy industry, and we get to, in a very gentle way, describe their stories. And they get to look these animals in the eyes, hug them, brush them, kiss them, hear their names, hear their stories, and make those connections and open their hearts to a more vegan diet and help more animals in return.
Tell me how you first started getting your animals. Didn't it start with goats, right? So talk to me about that. So you started with 2 goats, 1 goat, and then you've got a menagerie of lots of different animals, including horses, right? You've got horses, cows, pigs, chickens, dogs. Who else do you have in there?
Sheep, goats, llamas, and emus.
That's beautiful. How many do you have at your Los Angeles location?
At our LA location, we have about 100 animals.
Wow. How many acres?
We have 2 properties. We have our main location, which is 5 acres, and we make a lot of use out of it. And then our healing center is 15 acres.
So healing center for the animals to recover?
Yeah, so it's larger. It's 15 acres, and it's where all the animals go to be triaged, quarantined, and socialized. And it's where the younger, larger animals live, where they need more room. And then the older animals that need more daily care come to our main location.
How do you find the animals to rescue?
They find us.
Really?
We work with the Los Angeles Police Department, Animal Control, all the rescue agencies, and people call us.
Wow. So by starting with the goats, did you realize then that you were going to be on a mission to sort of do this in life, to rescue the animals? Because as you said, the animals rescued you. Did you have any idea? Did you envision growing this, or it just happened organically?
The Gentle Barn's my dream since I was 7 years old.
Yeah.
When I was 7 years old, I would bring animals home when I would find them on my adventures.
Mom and Dad weren't too thrilled with this.
And they were not thrilled. By the time I was 7, my plan was to have a house full of animals that I saved, and they would be my friends. My parents were not on board, and they kept saying, Ellie, when you grow up, you can have as many animals as you want.
Oh, well,
So
watch what you tell your kids.
Watch what you tell your kids big time. And I would yell back at my poor parents. I would say, you'll see, when I grow up, I'll have a huge place full of animals, and I'll show the world how beautiful they are. So I held on to that plan, but didn't know how to start it. And 20 years ago, I discovered a petting zoo I had never seen before. And to make a very long story short, started bringing the animals home from there, which is what ultimately started the Gentle Barn. But it started with one first goat, and her name was Mary, and I took her home from that petting zoo when she asked me for help. And she led to bringing home other animals, and that led to acknowledging, oh my God, I just started my dream.
That's so beautiful. And you also have locations elsewhere, right? Where else do you? Tennessee?
Yeah, so we're located in Los Angeles, California, Nashville, Tennessee, and St. Louis, Missouri.
And you're looking to expand, though, everywhere.
Yes, I hope to go to New York next.
Yeah, because we were talking about that, because I'm from New York, and I thought to myself, well, now if this isn't a perfect place to be, upstate New York, outside of New York, but no, you said to me you'd like to be
right in the middle of Central Park.
I think that's perfect, because we all know the Central Park Zoo is there, and this will be an entirely different entity. And if I'm pretty sure that that's going to happen.
Well,
I really am.
I'm a big believer that if we can dream it, and
Yeah.
if we can dream it, we can have it. So it was a wonderful idea given to me, and I'm ready to execute it.
Yeah. So when they come to you, the animals, are they afraid? Are they scared? How do you rehab them?
Yeah, they come very broken, both physically and emotionally.
Yeah.
They have been betrayed by every single human in their life. So they don't know that humans could be kind. They don't have a source of reference to understand that it could be a nice experience with us. And so we have to start from scratch. We have to give them a lot of time. So what we do in the very beginning is kind of ignore them, and not in a mean way, but just we
to
want
let them chill and be calm, right?
Yeah, we want to let them know that we don't need anything from them. So we kind of go about our business. We come and go. We have volunteers in the barnyard all day long, reading books out loud, singing out loud, raking the barnyard, doing their thing. So they're surrounded by people that don't want anything from them. And that allows them to drop their guard and kind of relax. And then the animals start getting curious about us. So when they start following us and wanting to know what we're doing, we use food to kind of give them a positive experience, which leads to petting. And then before we know it, they're in our laps and in our arms, and then they become ambassadors.
That is so beautiful. When you say ambassadors, what do you mean by that?
Well, the animals partner with us when they're ready to heal people with the same stories of abuse and neglect, and connect children with the love and magic of animals. So we host school field trips during the week, and we also host groups of kids from the inner city who might be at risk or differently abled.
So what do? Do they come and work with the animals other than, see them? But is there a program when they can come work with them? And how does that healing begin? Because just being around them is a very calming force. So I'm just curious how that works on a deeper level.
Yeah, so we have agencies and people literally coming from all over the world to enjoy the animals and have a one-time experience at the Gentle Barn. But we also have a 10-month program called the Peace Enhancement Program, where we work with foster agencies, drug and alcohol rehab centers, probation camps, inner city schools, and special needs classes. And they enroll for 10 months, September through June, and they come for 2 to 3 hours a time.
How many times a week?
It depends on their transportation
Right.
and their staffing. So they come a minimum of once a month, but if they can come more often, they do.
Oh, okay.
And we do different projects every time they come. Sometimes we work in the garden. They put their hands in Mother Earth and connect to nature. Other times they groom horses to cultivate self-awareness and
That's
learning
very
about
thorough.
body language. Then we walk the horses to cultivate leadership skills. We take nature walks to talk about resilience. And they do projects on the ranch to know that there's something standing in the world that they did. And they also participate in the healing of the animals, because through healing, you heal yourself.
Yeah.
We start every group by asking them the word that describes who they are and what their dream is, so they can start cultivating self-awareness and hope for the future. And we end each group at the wishing well, where again, they can cultivate that hope for the future and start manifesting their own dreams.
Wow. I think this is so beautiful. How do you get to know an animal? Because I'm personally will look at animals and I can see their personalities and feel them. This little guy, Mario, is just a love. Like, I wish I could take him home. He is sweet.
He's sweet.
And he knows he's surrounded by love. He's just precious. He's also very soft. What kind of a chicken is he?
He's a Japanese
Rooster?
silky.
He's a Japanese
Silky.
Silky. So we don't see too many of them, obviously, around
Well, they're
here, or do we?
they're a specialty breed, so they're not typically found in poultry farms or slaughterhouses.
Right.
They're a show chicken, so they're showed a lot and bred a lot for like the specialty chickens. But they were originally bred for royalty to sit on their thrones and be able to have someone in their lap and be able to stroke them because they sat there for long hours.
Yeah, as opposed to like a little puppy who's jumping around, right?
Yeah.
So this little guy is very relaxed, and he really has very soft hair.
Yeah.
You know, I saw there's a photo, this very famous photo of you reading to the cow. You know, so you sit there and you will take the time to actually read to them. Now, clearly they don't speak English, but they know what's happening, that there's something relaxing, that you're taking time with them. Tell me about that. I love that little interaction. Do you have that photo somewhere? Tell me about that.
Yeah, it's actually part of our rehabilitation program. So when we get animals from veal crates or puppy mills or that are dying of parvo or have been ridden to death and now they could barely walk, or they come from the animal agriculture industry and they're just absolutely terrified for their life, they come in very, very broken. And so the main part of our healing program is to have people with them all day long so they can start getting used to kind people. So we have a program where people read books to them.
That's so neat.
And so it started with me, but now I have volunteers helping me. And so we
To
read
all
out
the
loud.
animals you're reading
Yes,
to?
absolutely. We read out loud to them. We sing out loud to them. My book came out, My Gentle Barn, and so I read my book to them all the time.
This book is fantastic because you walk everybody through the journey of your childhood and how you got to being who you are. Ellie from the Gentle Barn. I was telling so many people because I've really wanted to meet you. I'm very inspired by what you do. I'm inspired by what a lot of people are doing with animals. Diane Fossey, for example. What do you think about that, by the way, of being that close to gorillas?
The joke in my family is that's how I'm going to die. Like, I'm going to kiss the wrong animal and they're going to eat me and it's going to be totally worth it. So I think it's amazing. I think being out in nature and getting to know these animals and bringing their voice to the world is so important.
I'm obsessed with gorillas, I have to tell you.
They're amazing.
And we have a trip planned in September to go and trek and see them. I've injured my knee pretty badly, so I'm not sure I'm going to be able to go because I might need surgery. But that is one of my big bucket lists, and just to see them. But apparently they're getting so accustomed to us being there that they've got a great sense of humor. You know, they like to joke with their caretakers. And I don't know if you saw this very famous photo where they're standing up straight, kind of mimicking one of the caretakers.
Oh my god!
Oh, I'll have to show you later. It's phenomenal. But look what happens when we interact on a loving way with these animals. I hope that we can have a world one day where people will look at these creatures not as food or subhuman, if that makes sense,
Or objects.
but on our level,
Yes.
because that's how I feel.
I believe we will.
I
believe
hope
we will
so.
have it in our lifetime.
Yeah. So tell me about the Sunday groups.
Yeah, the Gentle Barn is open to the public on Sundays in Los Angeles, Nashville, and St. Louis. And it's where people can come in and hug the cows, cuddle the turkeys, give the pigs tummy rubs, hold the chickens in their arms, hear their stories of resilience, have their hearts open to the intelligence, affection, and personalities of all these animals, and get to eat a vegan hot dog, vegan lunch, and understand like who we get to love and what lunch is, and kind of hopefully evolve to the point to know that they're different, not the same.
This is every Sunday. And what about people who want to come to you, who are in the LA area, who want to come to you, or in Nashville or in Missouri, to help and volunteer? How do you get involved to do that?
Oh, yeah, we have a wonderful volunteer
Because you
program.
must need a lot of volunteers, but you've got to be trained, obviously. You can't just show up and pet a pig. Tell me about that too.
Yeah, we have a wonderful volunteer program where we have a whole slew of volunteers that volunteer on Sundays, and they are assigned to be docents for each animal. So people can walk around the Gentle Barn at their own pace, but each animal has their own docent telling their stories and helping the animals be interacted with the way that they want or not touched at all if they don't want. So it's really only on the animal's terms. If the animal doesn't want to be pet, they don't get pet. If the animal wants to be pet, the docent is there to help people know how.
Beautiful. That's just beautiful.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah. How many docents do you? Let's say you're in Santa Clarita, right?
Mm-hmm.
How many docents do you have there?
In Santa Clarita, we have over 50 docents every Sunday.
Wow. But how about during the week, staff? And you must have volunteers during the week too, or is it mostly staff?
No, absolutely. We have volunteers during the week, and that's where it gets really, really fun. So in order to volunteer, you have to visit. Then you can fill out a volunteer application.
Oh, after the Sunday visit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm asking for myself in case anybody's wondering, because I'm very excited about this, and I want to make sure I take the time and go there. So I'm kind of doing this for me. So
Sure. Yeah. So you have to come visit on a Sunday. Hear my presentation in the amphitheater about reverence and our philosophy about animals, which I know you already have. Yeah. Then you meet all the animals and hear their stories. You fill out a volunteer application form. You come volunteer for 4 consecutive Sundays, and then you can apply for during the week, where there's another 4-week training process where you get to know the animals and your job there. And the volunteers during the week do a really, really cool job. Like, I want to retire one day and be able to be a volunteer in my barnyard because they get to sit with baby piglets and rub their bellies. They get to socialize new animals. They get to heal scared animals. They get to nurture older animals that are transitioning out. They get to keep the barnyard clean, hose off the emu and the pigs when it's hot, cuddle the goats and sheep when they're affectionate. Oh my God, it's such a good job.
In our house, we've rescued our pets. We have a rescued dog, and it was very, very clear. And we have a cat rescued, 3 lizards. It was 4 lizards, 2 birds and a fish. And, we are animal people. Because when I tell that to people, they're like, oh my God, so many. And I'm like, no, we could probably have 10 more.
Yeah.
It's just kind of fun. But our dog in particular is very skittish. Something went on with him. And we just try and hold him. He's a little guy. He's so cute. His name is Leo. And you can just see, because if you go to, pet him, even today, and we've had him quite a few years, he jumps. And I'm thinking, gosh, what did people do to you, And I could see that he was abused, and I feel so good knowing that he feels loved every day. I mean, it's just, it's a beautiful feeling for people to
It's a living apology. You're making it up to him. And depending on the abuse, when the abuse happens when the animal's very, very young, or if it goes on for a really long time, it stays in their body memory. So his brain probably knows he's safe, but it's in his body memory just to duck, because probably the abuse started when he was just a baby.
I can't imagine why anyone would want to do that, but it's a whole different level of thinking. Yeah. So your job is to just get them in, and help them. Now, tell me a couple of stories from your book. It's okay, Mario. What do you have to say, Mario? It's like, come here. He's welcome to come over here and step on my stuff. You want to come over? Would he just come if I called him? I mean, he's not a dog, but
Mario, you want to say hi?
Mario, you want to say hi? He's
Go
just chilling. Hi.
He's
I love
very
his feet.
chill.
I mean, he's like really cute.
Yeah, he's got like extra toes and all kinds of feathers
He's got, like,
on his toes.
Super interesting feet. It's like, whoa, that's unique, right? He's got,
it's unique to chickens, but normal for Japanese silkies.
I see.
Yeah,
and his face too. That's a normal. It's almost. He's perking up.
Yeah.
I think he knows we're talking about him, doesn't he?
Of course he knows.
There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. I happen to believe that animals understand everything that we say. And you asked for a story from my book. There's a perfect segue. So I happen to believe that animals understand everything that we're saying and doing. And I think they're way smarter than we think they are. But actually, that was proven to me by a goat. When I discovered this abusive petting zoo and started bringing animals home from there and ultimately realized I had started my dream, there was a goat there that I had rescued with a tiny baby. And then a few weeks later, I came out to the yard and there was 4 babies on the ground. And I didn't even know she was pregnant.
Oh, wow.
So 2 of the babies were stillborn and 2 of the babies were clearly struggling, and I had to get them to the hospital very, very quickly. Well, I was alone there, and this goat weighed a good 200 pounds. So I was trying to figure out a way to get her in the crate and get her in the truck to get her to the hospital by myself. And no matter how much I pulled or pushed or lured her with food or anything that I did, it was all, I couldn't do it. She wasn't having it. So finally, 30 minutes later,
But how about the babies, the 2 babies? What did you do with them in the meantime?
They were laying nearby, and I had to get the mom in the crate and then the babies and then get them in the car. But I couldn't get the mom in the crate. So I finally, 30 minutes later, dripping with sweat and crying and scared for the babies and exhausted and feeling very vulnerable and hopeless, I finally looked at her just out of sheer desperation and said, Zena, I've got to get your babies to the hospital. They are dying. We got to get them to the hospital so they can fix them. And then as soon as they're well, you'll come right back here. Please, please, I can't lift you. Please go in the crate. And she looked at me and she said, well, why didn't you just ask? And she walked into the crate by herself and sat down.
I believe in this 100%. And I think anyone who has an animal, grew up with an animal, most people who grew up with animals, I think, get this. You need to work with animals, and you'll see this is absolutely correct. They do understand. They may not speak English or whatever else you speak, but they get the tonation, right?
Yeah. So ever since then, every single solitary thing we do with an animal, whether it's putting their halter on or putting a harness on or grooming them or brushing them or the vet wants to look in their mouth, I always talk to them and let them know what's happening first.
You, Mama Ellie.
Yeah, always.
So Mama Ellie goes with them, and and you have 3 kids of your own. One of your beautiful daughter is here. I don't even know if we have you on camera, but you can get in there and wave. You have 3 children.
Yes.
How old are they?
Our oldest daughter is 21. Our son is 20, and the daughter here, Cheyenne, she's 13.
That must be such an incredible way to, gosh, I wonder, can we like wiggle you in here? Kurt, is there any way, do we have like room to wiggle her in there? Ah, there you go. Come on in.
This is my daughter, Cheyenne.
Yeah, hi, Cheyenne. What's it like growing up with all these incredible, beautiful souls around you?
It's a little crazy, but it's a lot of fun, and it's a lot of, since I'm homeschooled, I get to learn a lot of science and stuff by learning from the animals and stuff, so that's a lot of fun too.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Do you want to do this as well and care for animals one day, or at least help?
Maybe. Yeah.
She's a dancer. So she's trying to figure out like how does she dance and work at the Gentle Bar at the same time.
Ooh, maybe you can dance and sort of dance around the animals. Wouldn't it be like cool to just like choreograph something with animals? Look, I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. But I just can't imagine. I would have loved it. When I was a little kid, there was a lady, we called her the chicken lady. And when my mother wanted to get rid of me, she'd go to the chicken lady. So I would just run out the door and just run down to the chicken lady and pick up, the chickens. And it's one of my fondest memories of being little. And then they built the whole area up, and there goes the chicken lady. And it's just truly very, very special.
Well, we call my daughter the chicken whisperer.
Oh, really? Why?
Yeah, because when she was little, her and I would sit in the barnyard when she was like 1 and 2. We would sit in the barnyard and we would like watch the chickens. We watched them peck. We would hear their sounds. We would try to understand their language. We would name all the chickens. We did a big rescue when she was little of 45 chickens. And Cheyenne and I sat in the barnyard together and named them. So she's always loved chickens. And she can go up to any chicken anywhere, anytime and just pick them up. They love her and she loves them.
People don't realize that they're terrific pets. I have so many stories about pets. My dad told me about growing up with his pet Oscar the chicken. They loved Oscar until one day they came home and Oscar was right there for dinner. And he grew up, kind of poor. I think Oscar was always there to be dinner. And of course, nobody ate Oscar. Who could eat Oscar? Yeah. But from that day, my dad hardly ever ate meat again.
That'll do it.
Yeah, that'll do it, right? That'll absolutely do it. And I grew up kind of lukewarm on it myself. It's not necessary, and I'd love for people to understand that. Yeah. What I love about animals is they won't necessarily, unless they're threatened, they don't just want to kill and club and hurt us unless threatened or they need to eat. Which is amazing how not the case with human beings.
Yeah, I like to tell people because if you think about it, we don't eat lions and tigers and bears. We eat the innocent. We eat animals that won't fight back. We eat animals that will allow us to do it. So think about that. Like they're so gentle. They're so innocent. We should be protecting them.
We should, and particularly the way that the industry slaughters animals. It's particularly cruel. And I love that you're getting the word out to people. Tell me what else that we didn't even cover, because there's so much that I want to talk to you about, raising kids with empathy with animals. What do you want people to get out of this book? I mean, there's a bunch of little pages in here. I was actually going to ask you to read from some of it. Is there an excerpt you'd like to read?
Oh, that'd be lovely. Yeah, maybe the butterfly scene in the beginning.
Oh, yes, when you would, and the butterfly. Here you go. This one here?
In the
one,
very beginning.
Yeah,
'Cause
I
that's
remember
where
you were
my-
laying in the field.
Yeah.
And yeah. I
That's
think
where
it's right
my
here.
obsession with animals started, so
I love that.
kind of like to go back
I
to
love
the
people to read
beginning.
their own stuff. Yeah, that was a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful scene.
All right, here goes. When I was a child in St. Louis, there was a field behind our Orthodox Jewish synagogue that held my attention far better than what was happening inside the sanctuary. While the women sat in their segregated section and gossiped for the entire 2-hour service, I would squirm in my seat, unable to follow the command to sit still and be quiet. Eventually, I would tell my mom I had to go to the bathroom, and instead would slip out the back door of the temple and into the field. I would crawl through the tall grass looking for beetles and giant grasshoppers. I would tunnel through the bushes, hollowing out hidden forts. Sometimes I'd just lie in the grass and watch the clouds float across the sky. The time would pass so quickly, I'd end up scurrying back to the temple right when services were ending, trying to brush the burrs and foxtails off my dress and tights as I ran. One Saturday in the fall, when I'd snuck out into the field, I noticed some big butterflies glimmering in the sunlight as they flitted from one weed to the next. I lay down in the field to get a closer look at their orange wings struck through with black veins. When I rolled onto my back, I saw that the sky was filled with them, their wings tiny stained glass windows lit by the sun. Lying in the grass transfixed, far more still and quiet than I ever was in temple, I felt a tiny touch on my arm, then on my hand, then on my face. One after another, butterflies were landing on me until I was covered entirely, head to toe, a mirror of the orange fluttering sky. In that moment, I felt, for the first time in my young life, a sense of peace and stillness inside me. That stillness and well-being never came to me from being around humans. Not at home, not at school, not with a few friends I had. Animals, whether a tiny winged insect or the horses at the stables down the road, were the only ones who could provide me with that depth of calm and happiness. They ushered me through my childhood and through my life, calling me back again and again to a place of peace and purpose.
That is beautiful because you've really come full circle from being a little girl. You were clearly born and destined for this. And, you know, your whole aura is just so peaceful and beautiful. And I love your mantra, I'm not saving the animals, they're saving me. By the way, I feel the same way. I really, really do. Tell us how people can, obviously your book, anybody can pick it up on Amazon, right?
Yes, and at Barnes & Noble, anywhere where books are sold.
I was going to say, because it was at Barnes & Noble's, I was over at the Grove, and I'm like, oh, there's Gentleman. But also to get in touch with you, to work with you, to volunteer with you, to donate, and you know, to have a group go there and to learn more. How can they do that? It's what, gentlebarn.org?
Yes.
Okay.
Gentlebarn.org. And we're on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, of course, and they can see beautiful pictures of the animals and how they spend their day.
How do you make the money? Because this is a very expensive thing to do. Clearly that this is a nonprofit. I need to say that. But how do you make it? Do you have the fundraisers? What do you do?
Yeah, because collectively we have about 200 animals now, and most of them are old, and most of them need ongoing care for the rest of their lives. So basically, I made a deal with Spirit a long time ago. I will work and I will work hard, but they need to pay the bills. And so far, so good. But it's a daily mission.
Yeah.
Every single day we're out there pounding the pavement, making phone calls and appealing to people to kind of partner with us. And I really do look at it like a partnership. There are so many millions of people that actually love animals that can't quit their jobs and start their own sanctuaries.
Right.
And so we're calling out to them to say, partner with us.
Partner.
We have the land, we have the resources, we have the staff and the volunteers, we have the knowledge and the know-how. We will heal and care for these animals, but please fund us. Please help us pay for our vet bills, our hay bills, and for our staff so that we can keep doing this work.
Oh, beautiful work. I'm just so inspired by you. I really am. I mean,
Thank
I was
you.
very excited to meet you. So thank you very much. And I hope to be doing some kind of work with you in the future. I really do. It's where my heart is as well. Thank you so much, Mario. Thank you so much to your beautiful daughter. And thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. So now when you go back to the barn, what are you going to be doing today?
I am going to be putting the animals to bed later, and I also have a horse to visit in the hospital, so it's going to be a long night.
It's got to be a big job putting these guys to bed at night, right?
It's my favorite time of day, and it's where I get the barnyard to myself, because during the day there's so many staff and volunteers. But at nighttime, Cheyenne and I get to go out to the barnyard. We give peanut butter sandwiches to the potbelly pigs and tuck them into bed with blankets. We give
Oh, they must love that.
Yeah, we give cookies to the horses and cows, and we count the chickens and turkeys to make sure they're safely on their roosts. And as the sun is going down and the temperature is perfect and there's a sweet smell in the air, we get to love and nurture these animals and tell every one of them that we love them before we go to sleep.
Oh my gosh, can I be your kid? That is beautiful. Thank you so much, Mario, Cheyenne, Ellie, and all the people who work and volunteer at the Gentle Barn. Please look them up. Social media is a great place. They've got beautiful photos, gentlebarn.org, and everywhere else on social. Thank you so much for being here, everybody, on Deborah Kobylt Live. And please, I hope this inspired you to go and do something good for animals and to help with what they're doing over there at Gentle Barn and to pick up this beautiful book, My Gentle Barn. I loved it. It's a great read. Thank you, and we'll see you next time. We're out there everywhere, every place as well. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio app, just about any place else where you get your podcasts. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you next time.